Hello everybody, this is Jeremy here from Gnomebot Studios. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I thought I'd drop a different kind of video, something that's more process oriented. I've got a lot of things that I'm working on here, and I thought maybe this would be fun for you guys to just stop in and check out. I have no plan for this. I'm just going to sort of talk and work, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. For those who have not watched my videos previously, I've recently released a tabletop role-playing game called GRIT Fantasy RPG that's available on DriveThruRPG. And I've done a lot of videos lately about that, so it'll be kind of nice to do something different today. And today I am working on the beginnings of GRIT Galaxies, which is my next RPG project. So it is the sci-fi version. Very excited by this. Probably won't get this out until next year because I do have a lot of testing. I still have writing to do. You know, I'm writing that currently, and of course all the art needs to be done, and that's part of what I'm sort of working on today. Today I am taking sketches from my sketchbook. I've digitized them, and I am making mock-up character tokens to use for testing, and also for sort of mock-ups for the final art in the book. So this is kind of a nice sort of pre-step for everything for the book. And you see this like squid guy here that was on the cover of the video, or the banner. And basically what I'm doing is I'm cleaning these things up because they're just photographs from my sketchbook, and I'm colorizing them and then dropping them into tokens just to be used in Roll20 for playing. So this guy I have already colorized just to show you. This is kind of what this is going to look like. And what this really does for me too is allows me to get a color palette for all these monsters, and also get a good idea of what it looks like before I do the final art. So what I'll do eventually is draw over these in nice lines and coloration and shading and stuff. So, but this I consider just it's a rough mock-up basically. I really do like the sketchy style though. So what I do after this, I would export this and put it into a token stamp, and I end up with a token that looks like this. I know this is grainy here, but it's low res for Roll20, easy to load in. So just a white border, and then this is also going to show me kind of what this looks like, because I will create a token set that goes with GRIT Galaxies book. And with those, I actually make my own tokens. I don't use token stamp. I make my own rings and colors for the tokens, so they're higher quality. But I wanted to show that off. So it's pretty exciting, to get this this new setting going. So on the right hand side here, I've got a bunch that are already kind of set up and ready for color. I'm not going to get into those quite yet. I've got a lot to work through, as you can see. What I end up doing with these sketches is I'll come up with an idea for a race or lineage in the book, and then basically that becomes pretty much like a full page, 8.5 by 11 sketchbook page of just that. And then I pick the best one or two from there, and then I make these little mock-ups with using those. Excuse me, I'm having my coffee. It's the nectar of the gods. I can't get away from taking part. Okay, so when I take pictures of these things, it's nearly impossible to not have warping of the images with the little camera phone, you know? You got the little tiny lens, really impossible to make it completely parallel to the sketchbook. The sketchbook is not flat, so, you know, images are not great. So kind of the first thing I do is I rasterize everything. Like, I'll trim it out of the page like this, and then I rasterize it so that I can modify it. And then I go into the flood tool or flood erase tool and just erase the white background. So I have that. And to me, this looks very warped. And sometimes sketches just look like that, you know. By hand, it's a little different than looking at it on the computer. It's really, there's a lot of, you can really see things more clearly. So sometimes what I like to do is just like flip it horizontally, see how weird that looks. And if I do that, I really like using this mesh warp. So I can just go in and I do this for all of them. And this really helps me get the final sort of, it gets a little wonky there. This helps me get the final kind of composition for my finished drawings for the book. So that's a little better. As you can see, I'm going to flip this back. Oh. Still a little weird that way, but I'll change that. Now you can go with this warp thing and just like go crazy, and you can make it look really weird and stretch out the lines, so you don't want to do too much with this that I found. So that's pretty good, you know, that's good enough. Yeah, so I don't really worry about, there's the lines here that are really rough and sketchy looking. I don't really worry too much about that. You know, if there's something that's really sticking out weirdly, then I'll maybe just erase it a little bit, so that right here I'll just take that top a little bit off. And I always like to have just the gray scale here. Just throw some white down and black. Just touch it up a little bit. Stabilizer is great, but not for everything. So that's pretty good. And then I'll just bring this up to close to the size of the palette. And that's pretty much ready to go. And maybe a little bit, erase that right there. Oh. A little bit more black. And I like these basic ink brushes for this stuff. It's more my preferred method, my preferred brushes for this, and what I used for Grit Fantasy. All right, that one's done. And if I'm quiet here, it's just because I'm working and I'm used to working silently. Actually, I prefer to work in silence. Sometimes I'll have music on, but a lot of times I just like absolute silence. It's just works better for me. I can concentrate. So this is again, really nice tool for changing the shapes of stuff on your drawing. And again, it sets me up really nicely for my final drawings. Because what I'll do when I do the final drawings, I'll probably put it at like 35%. Like it won't be in this. It'll be in this similar format, but the quality, it'll be like 600 DPI, and whatever drive-through RPG prefers for their publications. But I would end up dropping this down to like 30% or so, and then sketching over the top of this in another layer. But that's what I'm not doing that today. Let's put a little black right here. And a little white. The eyes. Kind of just clear that up a little bit. I get really into the details with final work. I spend a lot of time on little microscopic details that usually most people wouldn't pay attention to. Especially in a token, and I'm aware of the token thing. Like the quality is lower because, it has to be for uploading purposes. That one's done. The names on this are just very temporary. I haven't figured out exact names for things yet. But these are going to be what I consider the scum races, or scum lineages, or monsters, rather, which are the bad guys. I already did the lineages, so those are all set and ready to go. I've got those set up in a thing for Roll20, so I can run my games now. I had the first game last weekend. It went really well. Very happy with it. It was very smooth. I think with all the designing I did with fantasy, I kind of have a feel now for balance, for abilities and equipment, that kind of stuff. Now, do I like it this way or the other way? Let's see. Yeah, I guess we'll go that way. I can also kind of squash this a little bit, which I might do. Yeah. So, and if you can hear the machinery outside from this in this recording, it's because they are redoing my road, and they've been working on it for months, and it's not even, I think, expected to be done until like November. So bear with me. Hopefully it's not too loud. I just want to accentuate this a little bit more, this eye. I'm just drawing right over the top of these images. I'm not putting them on a separate layer. It's just not worth the time or the effort. When I colorize them, I will. I'll put another layer on, masking layer. The paper I have that I use for my sketchbook is really old. The pages are dry. So I noticed that the ink really kind of spreads out, bleeds. But I didn't want to waste the notebook, just making use of it. All right, I think this guy's done. It's kind of weird robot. Picture those dudes like there's some kind of creature living inside of it that's like kept alive by the suit. Kind of cool. Look at this guy. Kind of crazy looking. Some of these are just stream of consciousness, you know, I'm just drawing shapes and stuff. And this is what happens. I think that GRIT Galaxies is going to be a real step in the direction that I need to go artistically. I felt like with fantasy I had to sort of make things recognizable because, you know, a goblin sort of needs to look like a goblin and an orc sort of needs to look like an orc. But I think with Galaxies here, the sci-fi stuff is going to be crazy, which I love. No one's going to tell me what it's supposed to look like because who knows what these things are. That's what they're supposed to look like, see? All right. I think that I'm not going to mess around with this one so much. Although I think, like it I'll keep it the way it was originally. You can adjust things in all kinds of weird ways here with this tool. All right. Yeah, that eye in the middle is a little weirdly shaped. I'm not going to bother adjusting it. Not all of these are going to make it to tokens, but it's good to make more than you need, I think. Yeah, my sketchbook is full of stuff that, you know, I like to overkill on the ideas and then just pick out the best ones. It's usually the way it works out the best for me. I mean, if I'm locked into a design that I like or a concept, then I'll just roll with it and make a bunch of them, different, you know, expressions and stuff, especially with these kind of bust drawings. And that way it gives me options, you know. And you guys are getting a sneak peek on some things here. All right, that one's done. Look at this guy. Some kind of weird static-y creature. Yeah, this one may not make the cut. I'm not sure. We'll see. Or I might be able to implement this concept somewhere in the book. you know, it's going to be full of aliens and stuff. They don't always have to be related to exact monsters or lineages in the book. I want to make it feel like the options are, you know, very expansive. I don't really like this little blippity blip there on the static. Control Z is your friend forever and ever. Endless amounts of redoing or undoing what you've done. All right, that looks decent, I think. Passable. Actually tip it slightly. All right. I think another one is done. These are kind of fun because they're quick to work through. Once the color goes on, it's cool. Looks like I got a layer with nothing on it. Look at this guy. Not a happy camper. Maybe he just needs friends. He's all alone on his spaceship. Who knows? So for the testing for Galaxies, I'm assuming it's going to be months of that. I think it's going to go much quicker than Fantasy went, but you know, just simply because I have the formatting of the book all sort of figured out, and I know what to expect and how much to make of each, you know, ability and loot. I know, you know, I know the numbers of things. I know kind of the basic needs, but there's just going to be some mechanics to work out. Especially for lineage abilities and the loot. Because there's going to be another 400 items of loot, which is a massive amount. But I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it one table at a time, and it'll get done. It's always worth it, like, to have a bunch of loot too, because it makes the game so fun. I kind of like this guy. He's got personality. I'm not going to do much else to him. Maybe a little, yeah, flatten him out a little bit. One thing I want to do here, just this little thing right there is bugging me. Details, you know. Details no one would really look at probably, but I am attuned to it. When I was doing Grit Fantasy, I had to redo some of my older pieces for the book, because there was a quality difference from when I started to the end of it. end of the project. So I had to redo some stuff, and there are just some things I wasn't as happy with. So I noticed when I was doing that my line quality got much, much better and way less messier. Or way less messy, I should say. Let's just see what this looks like. Not bad. All right, I think that one is good. Of course, I'm gonna see that tooth there. Looks like it needs a little touching up. When I put color over this, I use the multiply tool usually. So basically it just goes right over. The black is maintained, but the white gets filled in with color, kind of over the top of the white. So if you got these, weird lines sticking out, like it's obvious, at least to me. One last little thing here. Looks like he's good. Getting close to the end here, guys. This is kind of just hopefully a relaxing thing for you. Just to kind of sit back and work through some stuff here. Happy little aliens, right? Happy little aliens with their happy little bulbous eyes. Happy warts. Look at those happy warts on this guy. He's a little crooked. Sort of a variation of a few, or one that I did earlier, but I do like the square shape of this one. Let's just see what the horizontal looks like here. Yeah, it's weird. A little bit weird. I kind of like it like that. All right, fill in some color here a little bit. Touch up. Just see specks and things, And again, these are rough drawings, but I like, if I'm going to make tokens out of them, have them in my games, I want them to look good, at least, because I'll probably be playing with these for months, so might as well make them cool if I can. Plus, it'll just help my, the quality of my illustrations when I do the final work on them. Maybe this guy's name is Frank. He looks kind of like a Frank. All right, that one's done. I got two more left. Oh, look at how warped this one looks. It's crazy. You know what? I need more coffee. Okay, this one is definitely going to need some work. Okay, excuse me. Much better that way. See what the horizontal looks like. Horizontal shift. I need to get a a tool for this, or a, you know, shortcut setup. I think I did at one time, I just forgot it. Yeah, it's probably good. I think I'm going to switch it back though. Little devious character. Yeah, so if you've picked up GRIT Fantasy RPG, I have a digital token set that has all the monsters and all the lineages in it. It's really cool. I've been playing with them. Ryan has been playing with them, the editor of GRIT. And it, you know, they're really nice. I colorized them. I took all the illustrations and colorized them from, you know, because the book is grayscale. And so the tokens look really nice with coloration. And that is one thing I'm going to do differently in Galaxies, is it's going to be full color. So look out for that. Yeah, really looking forward to that. I'm going to do a simple, you'll see once I start colorizing these, it's going to be a simple blocky, you know, color style, and then I'm going to add like one layer of light and one layer of like shading in it, so it'll be easier to manage for me. The GRIT Fantasy ones I did a lot of shading on, and it took forever. I mean, it looks great, but I think I want to go a little more simple with these, or this one, just because I don't think it needs that. I'm gonna let the color speak. I like the simplistic coloration of more cartoony characters. All right, I think that guy is pretty well done. I've got another variation of him. Of course, it could be her, or it could be just a them, who knows. Sort of aquatic with that, you know, head I don't even know, they're not even horns, they're just sort of like fleshy, I think. All right, that one is done and ready to go. All right, let's do this one. Again, it's totally warped. I think the page was like I tape it down, but it doesn't always lay flat. Yeah, see, that already looks much better to me. Just feels better. It's more of a feel thing. I don't really have a set like dimensional thing I'm looking for. I just gotta look like the right shapes, right composition. I think if I were to do a final version of this, I would change the shape of the bottom here. You know, I would add like it'd be more round, you know. Or maybe I could just accentuate the you know, the triangular thing, but it would have to be more, you know, maybe there'd be some kind of, you know, thing in the middle here. Who knows? All right, I think I'm going to just do one little adjustment here. And that will be good for this guy. And this is just for the scum lineages. There's going to be 12 of them. So you know, see me work through this here. You can see that I did quite a lot for the lineages, which also have 12. And I think I made a couple extras. Not really happy with the teeth here, how they got all weird. So when I input these, I have to do some correcting because they come in really grayed out, and not very sharp. So I have to mess around with the exposure and what is it called? Yeah, forget it. Got art on the brain. The difference between black and white, you know, contrast. That's what I'm trying to say, contrast. Alrighty, I think this guy is ready to go. Okay. So let's, well, I've got a lot. You know what, let's just, I'm just going to go with the one I started on. This dude, because I think he's going to be fun. So I'm just going to do a masking layer here. So that means that I can, you know, draw over without it getting onto the background. Sometimes I'll do a couple of these layers so that I can isolate colors and adjust them if I need it. And I like to use the color wheel. There's sliders you could use, but I'm seeing this guy is having sort of red eyes. A little brighter. Like a reddish orange. Cool. And since those are, since it's going over white, I can erase it if I want, like a highlight. I'll just erase it out of that, off the red coloration layer, and I've got highlights, which is cool. Less work. I could technically put a layer of white over that, but no need to do that. All right, so what color is this guy gonna be? Let's I don't want to do the typical green. It's very green. I was actually picturing these guys like a grayish color. So I think I'm going to do like a grayish color around the eyes. That's a little darker. And I don't have to be really precise here. You know, this is, again, just my mock-ups. So underneath that layer, I'm going to do like a lighter color. And I will sometimes just blow over the teeth and just erase them out. It's just like faster to do it that way. Not perfectly happy with this, but sometimes you can change the opacity, but a lot of times I will like drop in a color adjustment. I don't like that. See, I can change this to whatever I like color-wise. Can change the, you know, how bright it is. It's one thing with multiply. If it layers up, you can see. I probably should have just done it on one layer. Not a big deal though. Good enough for now. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, just has to work for my little tokens. I think I'm going to make these little don't bother with these. See, the thing is, you get into, you know, filling in all these little warts and stuff. There's a lot of these that I put in for details, you know, so it ends up being a lot of work. All right, and last thing, I just want to do I don't even need another layer. I'll just put it on this layer. Yeah, I need to do something with the collar or the clothing. Maybe more grayish green. You could fiddle around with colors forever. Just want to put a little lighter one underneath on the lower band. I probably won't have you sit through all of these here because it's going to be a while, but just wanted to show you that. And with all the things that I set up, I always keep like a few grayscale backgrounds. For one, if you just have white, it's blinding to stare at. You know, anybody who's illustrated would know that's just like hard on the eyes. So I'd like to have a few different options so I can look at things with different backgrounds. But I like a kind of a deeper gray. It's just easier on my eyes. Not entirely happy with the color, but I'm not gonna worry about it that much. All right, let's do this guy. So after, you know, having this, I would export it to a PNG. And then I could put it into tokens. So this guy's going to also be in the gray tone area, but maybe a little different blue. And I know I want to do, I just in my mind, I had this feeling that it was going to be like a yellowish orange here. Maybe a little too yellow. And what the nice thing is about that is complements of the blue. I'm going to go more lighter blue on this. Now I think I could just probably color fill this, but yeah, that's another option too. Just color fill and erase. It can also give you a nice, with the multiply, some shading. I'm not going to do the shading though, but the rings, the little flanges around these elements are going to be a little different color. And I will make them probably a little darker. Let them stand out a little bit more. Now, if I was adding highlights and stuff, these flanges would definitely have a light highlight on the top or side, depending on where the light's coming from. But probably I did it all from the top on in GRIT Fantasy, so I probably will stick with that too. And I think I'm going to do the rivets as well. that darker color. It's like a bucket of chicken, actually. It's pretty funny. What color eyes? Could make them blue, green. Sometimes it takes me a long time to figure out the color that I want to do for the eyes, because it's one of the more important elements of a drawing. It's like the, you know, the window to the soul kind of thing, right? Even though they're just cartoon characters. Kind of pinkish. I do like the purple, because there's a little yellow in that little mouth like ventilation piece, so the purple and the yellow kind of mesh well. Not buying it though, it's just something's not right with it. I think I'll just go green. And I'll erase out the highlights. Sometimes, well, on like the final drawings, sometimes I will make this white ink on a layer of its own, and that way I can move them around, change the size and shape if I like. It's just easier than having to erase. If I wanted to, I could probably add, you know, highlight layer here if I wanted to make it more dimensional. But I'm not going to do that with these. It's just basic colors. You know, also could add, you know, real light. You know, this would be more what I would gonna do with the final. I'll do something like that. So it's, you know, it has this like sheen to it because it's metallic. This is just really rough, but you get the idea. Looks a lot better though, but I'm not gonna keep that. There was a spot that I missed. It looked like maybe, yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's done. And I think, see how far along are we here? About an hour. I think, yeah, I think I'm gonna probably call this good for the video for today. I mean, I just have so much more to do. I'm gonna just blast through stuff, get those done. Looks like I've got about 20 of these things total, maybe 15, quite a few. So another thing I'm looking at too is like, what do they look like all together in a group? Because they're going to be showing on the page. So I want to make sure the colorations work well together, mesh well, opposing each other on the pages and in a complete group, just as a token set, and also how they're arranged on like the main page in the book, or main section page. So there's some details to work out with the coloration completely. So this is really helpful to do for me before I do the final stuff, so I have an idea of how I'm going to do things when it comes down to it. So it's actually a time-saving thing, even though it is some work. So yeah, that is kind of what I'm doing. Keep an eye out. I'm going to do some more of these videos probably, just because it's fun to talk through things and draw some happy little monsters and happy little aliens. Who knows? Who knows what's next? But there's probably going to be more aliens in my future for sure. So, and probably some spaceships too. So maybe I'll do some of that. Anywho, thank you all for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And keep a lookout for my other videos. If you have not checked out Grit Fantasy RPG, check that out on DriveThruRPG. I'll put a link below this video. And that is all I have to say. Over and out. Take care of yourselves. Happy gaming. And, if you're gaming, roll those dice when you can. Peace out, guys.